Good morning. I'm Mark Allen with Gaber.io, and I'm here today with Eran Harel, the VP of Corporate Development at AppCard. Good morning, Eran. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, bright and early here on the West Coast. so,
Indeed, indeed.
yeah. So to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work history?
Of course, I've joined Eran Harel in forming UpCard some good almost 10 years ago
Mm,
with really the mission of helping independent grocers and retailers as a whole to bring and bridge in between their online and offline experience and offer unified experience across the board. And before that, I've spent some good 15 to 20 years in Japan, actually,
mm,
where I've done my PhD research in economics and researching about the economical implication of the aging society.
mm.
Um, and I've worked and managed as a CEO, a consulting and investment boutique that focused in between bridging Japan and the world. And that's how I came to know Yair and Amichai with some of their prior ventures, where they ended up asking for my 2 cents in regards to AppCard, and here we are today.
Interesting. And AppCard, you described it as a loyalty program, but who would be the typical customer that you service?
So even though you've segmented it as a loyalty, if you think about it, the essence or what we believe is that the essence is really to focus on personalized marketing and shopper analytics, because a
Mm,
shopper that enrolls into a rewards and loyalty program, that does not make them a loyal customer.
mm,
But only if we are able to really help build the relationship that entices behavior and result with the increase of the shopper's recency, frequency, and monetary spend, and doing it with personalized offers and rewards
mm,
that derive not only based on the past purchase but future intent, then and only then you can earn the customer loyalty.
mm.
So as such, our emphasis is really on helping make data actionable as opposed to just loyalty per se.
Okay.
Our target customers are all independent grocers, meaning that they can be a small community chain or a large super regional, such as Shop and Save and Lowe's and Allegiance Food Town, and all the way to Lake Mills, which is a single location Wisconsin Grocer of the Year.
Mm,
So they would be really a mix and match of independent grocers.
Very. So you actually provide the service to the smaller grocers and stores that other companies, large nationals, have whole departments that do this, I assume.
Exactly, and that's the whole idea. The whole idea is to help these independent grocers compete and bring Kroger-like capabilities in an affordable way in order for them to really thrive and build a true customer experience, regardless of the touch points, be it online, be it in store, be it curbside, and anything in between.
Interesting. So a year ago is actually a year ago, basically today, that everything went to stay in place. So a lot of things went online at that point, I would assume. So did that have a big effect on your customer base? It had to.
So the beauty is that undoubtedly,
Mm,
and um, we have seen a significant shift in focus in the industry as a whole, but also in the grocery industry in particular. Whether it is large or small grocers alike, they have had to adjust because of social distancing, because of um, issues of inventory management and adjusting to missing toilet paper and eggs
mhm,
and milk at the stores, if you remember back in March to June of last year.
mhm,
But at the same time, it really brought the entire industry to the comprehension that they need to better communicate with their shoppers.
mm,
They need to be closer to the shoppers. They need to understand their shoppers better, because anything and everything that we knew prior to COVID has changed.
mhm. Yeah.
Um, And as a result of that, even though this is traditionally was recognized as a very traditional industry, one that have had people generation over generation managing their family chain or store, they have had to make a lot of adjustments, and so did we.
Yeah. And I think a lot of them started offering curbside pickup, correct? You can order online. Which,
So many of them indeed offered curbside pickup or order online, and many of them have seen various trends in that. Obviously, we've seen in the financial results of the Amazon and the Walmarts and the Krogers of the world to what extent really grocery picked up on the online side. But at the same time, we also see the opposite trend now, where it somewhat balances as shoppers do get back to the stores. So as it jumped from 1 to 3% for those who have adopted online grocery prior to the pandemic, into 10, 12, maybe 15%. Now we see it go back into the 8, 9% from online, as shoppers do like to shop for their grocery back and touch their fruits and select their meat, and as make it more of an experience rather than just placing an order. And of course, this depends if you are in the New York market to San Francisco market, where shopper behavior is somewhat different and has always been different.
Yes, I would assume so. And how about your company? How about AppCard? How did it affect your company? I assume you have a big office somewhere where people would go in every day, right?
So we have 3 offices. We have an office in Israel where our R&D is. In our data science, we have an office in Manhattan, New York, where our headquarters and I belong to. And we have an office in Delray Beach, which was following an acquisition we've done of Prologic, which was one of the key competitors of ours in the industry. And yes, we've had to make some adjustments internally as well as externally in terms of all of our processes. Initially, we've had to move everything and work from home and work remotely. And in terms of sending equipment to the stores or supporting the stores, we've had to make adjustments there. At the same time, we've had to make adjustments on our sales, biz dev, and customer success standpoint, where there's no more visits. Actually, in most cases, they don't even want you to come and visit the store anymore. So how do you do all of it online? Again, in an industry which was somewhat lagging from a technology standpoint. So it's been a fascinating year in this respect, but we've taken a step sometime in the September timeframe to try and bring everyone back to the office. And the vast majority of our teams are all working back from the office. And that collaboration, that that sense of unity, that sense of mission is really better achieved when we have the most of the team on site. And of course, with all of the distancing and having to have changed the layout in the office and bring some of these screens as opposed to having a fully complete open floor. But
yeah. And are you in the office now?
I'm this morning, no, but I am working most of my time from the office indeed.
In Manhattan.
Yes.
Yes. So how's the commute now into Manhattan? I know before it was pretty bad. Has it gotten a lot better?
Of course. For me personally, I've had to take a bus and then the subway, which obviously today is an experience that you try to avoid. But driving into the city have become a more, I would say, palatable experience. And it is something that I've never have had thought even on doing prior, but nowadays
Yes.
it's rather doable.
Yeah, that's very similar to what's happened in San Francisco. The thought of going in the morning is, it was at least an hour minimum. So now it's actually, 25, 30 minutes is not that bad. So, and it's continuous movement. I think that's the big thing. It's not,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. And you can even find parking.
Yes, I know it's amazing, isn't it? So what do you think is the future then? Do you think AppCard is gonna, basically go back to the old way of everyone works? I mean, because you're already distributed, you're not really remote. You're a distributed organization. You have 3 different sites. Do you think you'll
Right.
go back to that?
So we are already there.
Mhm.
So our offices back in Israel, in New York, as well as in Delray, do work from the office. We obviously have some remote people, people who have worked remote even before the pandemic.
Mhm.
But I think that there are things that, aside from working from home or working from the office, that have changed and will forever be somewhat of a hybrid in between what we were accustomed to. I think that there are things that we've learned this year to be more efficient, more diligent in our process, but and even to great extent have benefited from COVID, because think about it. In order for you and I to meet a year ago, I would have taken a flight to San Francisco,
Right.
and that would be our truly only face-to-face encounter. Today and in the past year, we as a team, and I, for what I do in the company, have met more of our partners on a regular basis, face-to-face, given Zoom
Mhm.
and like technologies that have really helped take that relationship to the next level.
Mhm.
And I think that this helped us make the necessary adjustments on sales. So there's no more trade shows, there's no more
Mhm.
events and things that really helped us get in touch with potential customers or partners. But nowadays it's all online. And I think that this really is something that we foresee to remain 70% of our engagement, and only slowly going into more travel that otherwise have been on a almost on a monthly basis.
Wow, so you were basically getting on a plane at least once a month?
I used to, I
Yes,
used to,
right.
and if not even more so. But nowadays, I think that I've had one flight to back in October to one of our partners that wanted to have a session in person, and have said, "You want to do it? Let's meet and do a workshop at their offices," which we have.
Mhm.
And they were more southern uh, um, to uh, to New York.
Mm.
And other than that, it was a year with no travel, for
Mhm.
better or for worse, but it was
Right.
a year with no travel.
And I see that a lot. I think people think now it's like, if I've got a 2-hour meeting with someone, why do I have to? Because especially like if I were to go to New York, it's 2 days. It takes one day to get there, have the meeting, and one day to come back for 2 hours, and that's basically 14 hours I'm losing.
Right.
Right. So I think more and more companies are saying, hey, if we can do it remotely, let's do it remotely online. Right.
And I think that there's still obviously a benefit coming from a pure biz dev
Mm.
perspective, that have also been for many years in Japan and in other countries throughout the world. There's never a good replacement of a dinner
Mhm.
or a beer with someone to really build the ties and relationship. So
Right.
that's something that Zoom will never be able to replace. And this is why I think that we will, as I've said, 70-30, because that's something that is really, really
Right.
important.
Yeah.
But yes, you are correct. Why kill 14 hours when you can have just as productive 2 hours face to face over Zoom and the like, and be ready for your next one?
Right. And I think the 70-30, the 30 rule will come in where it's an established customer who you've had a long-term relationship, or someone that's close to signing. You're not going to do it on initial meetings, I think, anymore. I think those are going to be online.
Correct. Correct.
Yes. Well, Eran, I want to thank you for your time today. It's been great talking to you. I would assume I've used your product somewhere here in the Bay Area before without knowing it. And have a great week.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your time.